Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for swinging by. I appreciate all the condolences and everything that a lot of people have shared about Space Bunny's dog. Don't really want to talk about that much, so let's not get off on that in the comments or the super chats, please. But I will, just because it seems appropriate, I will show a few of my favorite pictures of Mazzy. And so, Reprehensible Bear says he's going to drop some dough on the Junior Classics campaign as soon as he gets the dollars tomorrow. You better make it fast because it's only going to be up there for 8 more hours. So you have a little time, but not too much. Welcome to Wrangler Star, Unauthorized TV's latest star, I guess you'd say. Good to see you. Bonsoir, everyone. Anyhow, yeah, the picture on the desk is relevant. That is my Vizsla Mithra, and that's a picture from when he was just a little saggy puppy butt. Gosh, it would have been probably 1995. So, I mean, it seems astonishing that it was that long ago. But you know, he lived a really long time for Vizsla, and you know, we were very fortunate in that regard. And you know, I've never actually had a dog of my own since, just because obviously, if you have ever read A Throne of Bones, you've probably read a scene that is literally about him. Not that I was ever a Roman legate off commanding armies against goblins, but I think you get the point. And you know, that's one of the nice things about being a fiction writer, is that you can draw upon your actual experiences, and it brings a bit of emotional verisimilitude into the books, into the fictional situations. And so, but like I said, I really don't want to get maudlin here, or you know, talk about the dogs and so forth. You know, we'll get to some of that later. But in the meantime, I want to say thanks to everybody who has backed the Castelia Classics campaign. It's going amazingly well. It's going amazingly well, and I just think it's astonishing what appetite there is for genuinely good myths and tales and history and stuff that we can bring up our children properly with, you know. And it's kind of funny when you watch these campaigns, you know. I looked at I ran the numbers after the first day, and the first day was huge. And, you know, there's a crowdfunding model that says, what does the model say? The model says that whatever your first day is, first 2 days, but in general, your first 2 days in a crowdfunding campaign are going to account for 31% of the total. And then the middle section, which is everything up to the last 3 days, will account for 45%. And that's when, you know, things tend to slow down a lot, and you know, you might have a day or two where nobody really effectively you know, backs anything. And then the last 3 days normally account for 23.6%. You know, and I'm looking at this, and it's always funny because, you know, we've done several successful campaigns before. This is not the first time we've done a campaign, although this has been the biggest one we've done yet. And it's still hard to believe that things are going to pick up at the end. I mean, even having seen it several times before, it's very difficult to say. You're just like, surely everybody who wants one of these things has it. Surely this is, we've peaked. And so it's astonishing to look at it and see that we broke through the model again, because where we are now with 8 hours to go, those great first 2 days are only about a quarter, and it's already at 26% for the last 3 days. So that's just, it's just crazy. Jake says he shared the classics with the homeschooling group. Hopefully that grabbed a couple people. That's cool. Thank you. Robot Bear wants to make it 2,000%. There's still 8 hours. I mean, at this point, I've learned just not to count anything out. GeoGear said he picked up a second set today for his homeschool co-op. That's very cool. And one woman was really very generous. And this is actually kind of related to what we're talking about here. But I just posted her email on the blog, and she said that to help boost the campaign to 500,000, I purchased an extra hardcover set. If you know of a homeschooling family that was not able to afford a set, I would enjoy donating this to them in Mazie's honor. And that's very kind, very generous, and frankly, very inspiring, and I really appreciate that. Not that not that you really think of anything good coming from that sort of thing, but it's still nice to see. Jay wants to know if I will collaborate with Jay Dyer. Yes, actually, we have been laying down some fat rap tracks, and we're basically coming out with what we consider to be a sort of Christian country Run DMC combo. Although there's only two of us, but we figure that we can find a third. We're maybe Wrangler Star would work. We tried Owen, but it turns out that Owen can't rap. So major collaboration. We haven't named it yet, but I'm sure we'll come up with something incredibly cool. So let's see. Someone said he's trying to decide between the leather and the hardcovers, or both. Well, one thing that we're going to do, that we're intending to do, I'm not promising this, we're just investigating it right now, is that I want to do something really special for the heirloom editions, because those are the people that actually back for both and actually paid more than just the price of those. And it looks like we might be able to do some, for the heirlooms, we might be able to do some really astonishing hand-bound stuff. And so, we'll see. I need to see how good the hand-bound stuff is compared to the elite library stuff that the bindery, the big bindery does. But we're going to do these right. We're going to do these up. Those of you who are on the stream where we talked about the what do you call it, the book collector crowd. But honestly, having examined a lot of them, and by a lot I mean over 25, I think we can do better. I really do. And so that's what we're aiming to do, both with the content and with the packaging. We are going to attempt to do something that is going to be worthy of lasting for decades, if not generations. Cactus Eater Bear says, Mr. Cactus bought me a leather-bound set for Christmas. That's awesome. My wife got me some leather-bound books for Christmas too, which is cool. Owen can only rap in a Chinese accent. Fair enough. That's funny. Let's see here. Yeah, somebody commented on how that line from Watership Down already they knew what was coming after that, and that is honestly one of the best. I think one of the best and most succinct ways of addressing that sort of thing. And I would find it very hard to believe that anyone here hasn't read Watership Down. But if you haven't, you absolutely must. It's one of the greatest works in the English language as far as I'm concerned. So let's see here. Have you read any Norwegian authors? Yes, but not really very many. Chris McCullough wants a leather-bound tome of my favorite terms and conditions. Yeah, it's funny. But here's the other thing that we should mention with regards to this campaign, is that the mere fact that it exists is a massive testimony to to some of the folks that you know of. And this is our most successful campaign. And it illustrates why these things are worth fighting for. We could have done what everybody else does. We could have gone and cried to the media, made do with an article or two in the Federalist, probably written by John Delarose, and maybe a few people would have tweeted about it, and absolutely nothing would have happened. This is what happens when we fight back. And as you know, I've got a new book out called Corporate Cancer. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the very important stuff is in there. Now, I'm not at liberty to say certain things, and there are certain things that I am choosing not to make completely public. There's plenty of people that I've talked to about these things, but they're people that can be trusted to be responsible with the knowledge and information. Because one of the things that I wrote about, and I meant it. In fact, I'm gonna read this to you here because I think that it really needs outlining, that people need to understand. Is sorry, I just I'll get to it in a bit. But this is a little section here from What the Future Holds. And okay, most people believe that Silicon Valley has never been more powerful or influential. The reality is that thanks to the near complete convergence of the technology giants, the incompetence of their untested legal departments, and the foolish behavior of the ironically named trust and safety departments at those companies, Silicon Valley has never been more vulnerable to large-scale disruption. In fact, I would go so far as to observe that Silicon Valley as we know it is very unlikely to survive more than 5 years if it does not change its ways and change them very fast. Corporate cancer is killing the technology goose that laid the golden eggs that have changed the lives of billions of people around the world. And so the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that Silicon Valley software, this whole social media giant thing, began with a set of assumptions that they could behave in certain ways because they were providing their services for free. And they were right. we have no right whatsoever to complain about being deplatformed by Twitter. Twitter gives us something to use for free. And if Twitter wants to stop letting us use something for free, they can just cut it off. It's no different than if somebody invites you into their house and then doesn't like the way that you are urinating on the, and I provide a service, not always very well, as the book review people know. We have to get on that. But, and they provide the money. It's a transaction. All right? Just because you bring people together in your house does not give you license or the right to interfere with those transactions. And this is very, very, very settled law. In fact, if you look at the terms of use of pretty much everyone, they will tell you it doesn't matter whether they're talking about the hosts and guests on Airbnb or the creators and the contributors on Kickstarter or a payment from one person to another on PayPal. If you read the terms of use or the terms of service, whatever they call them, what they will say is, well, we have no responsibility. We're not involved. And they don't want to be liable. They can't afford to be liable. You know, what is Google? I mean, if you complain to Google that I have not sent you a notification, as I say I will do, Google tells you, not our problem. We're not responsible for it. That is a separate agreement to which we are not a party. Okay? And that's legitimate. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them doing that. In fact, that's what they have to do, right? But here's the problem now. Then they decide, well, you know what? We don't like what you're selling. We don't, or they might look at the other side. We don't like you and we don't want to let you buy anything. Well, they don't have any right to do that. And if you look it up on Infogalactic, look it up on Wikipedia, their actions meet every single element of the concept known as tortious interference. They are interfering with what they know is a separate legal relationship, a separate contractual relationship to which they are a third party, to which they do not have any standing. And so this is a fundamental strategic flaw in their entire thinking. And nearly every company that you know of is subject to this. Nearly every company that you're familiar with that's been running around deplatforming people has been openly violating contract law in this way. And so, this is a massive, massive problem. And there's nothing they can do about it except knock it off. The idea that they're above this, that they're not subject to this kind of law, is totally absurd. And they can try to get away from it. They can try to avoid it. And then there's also other issues as well. We've gotten into those elements. I mean, there's that whole rock or the hard place. Do you want to go up against class actions in court, or do you want to automatically, or do you want to fork out $50 million in arbitration fees? You choose. But that's a separate issue. I mean, the thing that's amazing is no matter what you do, no matter what they do, it's a terrible choice. And even if they do decide to fight it, they'll lose. So, Kirk Townsend says, how powerful must a company be before it's above the law? Well, that's just the thing, is these companies are big enough to pretty much dictate what they're doing is, yeah, you're banned. There's nothing satanic about my grandfather's chair, and also you should learn how to spell throne. Anyhow, what was I going to say? So the point is that they're in between a rock and a hard place, and they're going to lose if they were to fight it out, because the position they're taking is unsustainable. Now, are they big enough just to get the government to protect them anyhow? Yes and no. They are within the context of the United States. I mean, Facebook, Google, they're all propped up by various U.S. government agencies. We know that. But that doesn't do them any good when it comes to their foreign competition in China, in Russia, etc., etc. And that's something else that obviously that I get into in corporate cancer. But that's what's so utterly foolish about their position is that they are taking this anti-consumer position at the same time that they are about to face bigger and more ruthless competition than they've ever faced. And so I personally think that what's going to happen when some of these foreign competitors go into direct competition with the U.S. social media giants in the U.S., I suspect that it's going to be like Fox News going up against CNN. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll change their tune, but that seems hard to believe in the short term. Let's take a quick look. I heard that the campaign went over 500K, which is just frankly astonishing to me. But let me see here. Boom, wow. 500, 957, 18% of the fixed goal. That's really amazing, and thanks to all of you who made that possible. Also, it's a good thing. We were planning to order just 100 sets because we thought, oh, that'll give us plenty, and plus a few spares. And it's a good thing that we decided to go ahead and tackle doing more, because we're already at 110 with 8 hours to go. So live and learn. Anyone know if the junior classics will be available again? We're going to have probably around 100 or so leather sets that will be available once they're all produced. And the regular hardcovers, both the demis and the royals, will be available just like any of our other books. The point and the purpose, once we were past the goal, this was happening. But what's important about it is that this sent a very, very strong signal to people who mattered. And I think it is making people reassess the balance of power. You got to remember, a lot of the technology companies, they only pay attention to SJWs, because SJWs are the only people who contact them and throw hissy fits and all that sort of thing. If they get 50 emails, they're like, oh no, we must act. We must deplatform. Because if we're getting 50 emails, then obviously on some old books, anyone who's got half a brain is going to be completely reassessing the whole thing, right? My email is voxday@gmail.com for Castalia Deluxe. Just put deluxe in the subject, please. We're going to be sending out those emails next week, I hope. I was actually hoping to do them by the end of the week, but I forgot that the campaign was coming to an end. To be honest, I was not planning to do anything today. I didn't want to do anything at all. I frankly wasn't in the mood. And then I looked at the campaign and realized that it was ending today, so that it would be a really bad idea to just, sit around and look at. So, let's see here. Where do I find them at? Yeah, Sir Hamster gave you the connection there. No, we're not tired of winning. We never get tired of winning. But the thing is that look at how many people are still whining and crying and trying to play the game of looking for sympathy and that sort of stuff. You can't ask for sympathy for people who have none for you. You can't negotiate with the unreasonable. You can't reason with the insane. You cannot reach an accommodation with people who call evil good and good evil. It's not possible. So don't try. Don't try. Just keep focusing on the good, the beautiful, and the true. Has he mentioned Jay's message to him yet? I got an email from Jay. Honestly, I don't even remember what it said. I probably will do something. I like Jay and I respect Jay. I probably will do something with him soon, but for reasons that you probably know, I haven't really been paying any attention to anything at all in the last day or two. Has the second book in the deluxe lineup been decided? I am leaning towards the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius combined with the Life of Marcus Aurelius. But we're not worrying about that until we really nail the first deluxe book. The first deluxe is going to be The Missionaries by Owen Stanley, and we just hooked up with a great design firm that's very experienced at doing these gold foil covers for leather books. They were recommended to us by the bindery. Had a great conversation with the head of the studio, and I think that we're going to be able to do some really great stuff together. Like I said, we're focusing on doing stuff that's going to be better than the old Franklin Library books. We are going to do yes, we're doing gilt edging. We're also going to do, I think, up to 20 Castalia Library books, which, just word of warning, are going to be ridiculously expensive. They're going to be about $250 a piece. We're not expecting to have orders for all of them. It's more of an experiment than anything to see how far we can push it, how high we can push the level of quality. I mean, we're talking like, melt in your mouth, goat skin, and all sorts of things. So it's a little crazy. And some of the stuff that we're planning to do with Deluxe, and just so you understand, no, we're aiming to do better than Franklin or Easton Press. That's the goal. I'm fan. I mean, you can see I've got Franklin books right there. I'm a fan of what Easton Press does, but I believe that we can do better, and that's what we're going to seek to do. So, are there a limited number of library editions? Well, yes and no. I mean, they're going to be limited, but we're going to be doing at least 15 just because that's how many I arranged for. I have no idea what that market will be. I understand that the book collectors market is much bigger than we currently understand. Purple X says 250. Is the author going to show up at my house and read it? Well, for example, one of the books that you can see up there, actually, that you can't really see it very clearly, it currently goes for $775. Book collectors are an unusual breed. Some of the books that you can see on my library up there, do you see the red books right above right above this, those red books? That's the history of the Peninsular War. They go for more than you would imagine because they're very rare. So anyhow, it's an interesting. I mean, I love books. I love old books. I love publishing great new books, and this is just a really interesting way of being able to explore that. One thing that we will be doing, I can tell you right now, is we're going to do, we will do a Throne of Bones and eventually a Sea of Skulls for deluxe. If we do it the way that I'm thinking of doing it, I think we'll make like a nickel per $100 book, something ridiculous like that. Because to do it properly, I think that we would have to divide it into 2 volumes and then put it in a slipcase. Well, if you look at Easton Press, if you look at the Folio Society, then you can see that 2 leather volumes in a slipcase for $100 is a insanely good price for that. So we'll see. We'll see. It's this is new, and some of what we're doing is going to translate into the Castalia Junior Classics, the 2020 edition. Obviously this is the Castalia Deluxe and the leather edition of the Junior Classics are very related because we ended up, I'm not sure even which led to the other first, but it's going to be interesting to see. Drew Bear just signed up for the Junior Classics. Thank you. Good to hear. So anyhow, I'm going to get to the Super Chats now. Let's try to decide what to do first, but I'm going to do the Super Chats first. Okay, so M. Bolster does his thing. Thank you. Elfin says, Supreme Dark Lord, I've got a biblical question for you today. How do you interpret Matthew 5:39 when Jesus says to not resist evil? Well, I think that he's talking about situational. I think he's speaking situationally there. The evil of the world be in the world, not of it. You can't fix the world. By the way, speaking of dogs, come here, buddy. Come here. So we've still got. Come here. Yeah. So this is one of our Vishlas. He's a good boy. He's just coming over to say hi. It's kind of funny how they can tell when you're sad, and the way that they really do their best to try to comfort you. Yes, you're very good. So that's my take on it. But I think that I don't want to just give an answer off the top of my head. So remind me of that. We should do a whole stream focused on that. Shotgun Bear says, what roles do you do in game dev? Storyboard, gameplay, logic coding, GFX engine coding? I'm a lead designer, so that's what I do. I also produce, but I'm not very good at it. I'm a much better designer than producer. Do you have a strong opinion on Vulkan? None whatsoever. Frosty the Bear says, I'm shopping for a vintage encyclopedia set. Any thoughts on World Book versus Britannica? I prefer Britannica. 1911 edition is the best. My Shield is Disgust wants Tennyson's Idylls of the King in Castelia Library. That's good to know. Actually, he's interested in the smell of the leather books. Marie Goulet is not dead yet. Had the flu. Thank you, Snowboards Birds Canada. Every year on my birthday week, it's too late for a cupcake. Sorry. She always has something unique to say. Sean Kelly says, maybe there was a significant word of mouth factor. Almost certainly. It's okay, honey. It's okay. I'm going to have to end this pretty soon because somebody has to go outside. Sergeant Bear says, Vox was going to wait on the classics but can't resist. Just bought a set for my 1-month-old son. Crushing. Good news. God bless you and your family. Likewise. DJ Link Spin sends 5. Hike Maladay says, love your work, especially the vids about the social sexual hierarchy. How come there isn't a Sigma episode? It's coming. Thanks for the content. You are inspiring. Foxbear Back the Digital. Congrats on the success. Also asking everyone to include Quilting Bear in their prayers. She has very difficult medical issues. God bless. And Thomas W. says, sorry about the dog praying. Well, thank you. And on that note, I'm going to close with just a few of my favorite pictures of Mazomba, who we usually called Mazie. And let's see. So this is him as a puppy. I'm going to turn my camera off just because we don't need to see. I'm not adding anything here. So this is him as a puppy. And this is him in the snow. That's one of my favorite pictures. This is him after he got sick. His hair got very thin, and so we would always keep him in a blanket to keep him warm. This is him with his little friend, not the dog you just saw, but the other one. They were very funny together. And when he was sick, she was very concerned about him, and he would be lying there, and she would always come up and put her head on him and just comfort him. And then this is still probably my favorite picture. So anyhow, thanks very much for tuning in tonight. Appreciate all the support on the Junior Classics, and we will look forward to seeing you the next time. I'm Vox Day. This is the Darkstream.